Well, it finally happened. After about 9 to 10 months of working on building my camper here, I finally had to go to ER because of the camper. Well, first time I had to go to ER during that time. Yep. Kind of amazing this is the only time I've hurt myself through this camper project yet, at least with any significance, because there's a lot of crazy things that I've had to do throughout this process and work with a lot of dangerous tools, including saws, sharp metal, of course drills, putting your face very close to both of those things, putting also my body into strange contortions and have to lift very heavy objects and panels, have to also cut out these windows openings and put my head very close to the saw blades, and even going up and down these ladders and lifting these things up and down ladders so many times. And even I got plastic bits sprayed on me and even on my legs. Some of my arms are still stuck to my arms here. I can't even get it off. Yes, there's been a lot of hard things throughout this process, and even lifting the vehicle itself, all very dangerous. And of course, working with all these power tools, and some of these, like I said, in very strange locations, very tight quarters, things that are not very comfortable, and of course being very close to some of these saw blades and doing it over and over again in order to make sure I'm building this camper very well. But that's not how I almost cut my finger off. Yeah, fortunately it was only a pinky, but I did slice off about half of the tip of it and almost entirely through the whole fingernail. And I sliced it off not by any actually saw blade or anything like that. Actually just simply 2 pieces of extruded aluminum 80/20 framing. An end connector was just really stuck, and I had to slide the 2 pieces apart in order to slide some more pieces in before tightening it up. And it wasn't tight. I'd fully loosened it. It was just really stuck. It was hard to get on. It was hard to get off. The access hole looked clean. It didn't look like there was any gunked up aluminum in the access hole that was inhibiting it from getting connected or disconnected, but it was having a hard time getting disconnected. I was just pulling on it, and eventually the piece, obviously the 2 pieces separated, and my finger got smashed between the end of one piece and the other piece, and it just sliced right through it essentially. It hurt, of course, but it didn't bleed too bad, and I just simply wrapped it up. I kept working for a little bit so I could get stuff taken care of, wash it off, wrapped it up, finished up what I was doing, and then just, had some breakfast because I knew I was going to have to go to ER and it's going to be a little while. And it was, I was hungry and it's time for breakfast. So, it wasn't anything real that had to be taken care of immediately that moment. So I went ahead and had some breakfast and wrapped it up, finished what I was working on, and brushed my teeth and so forth, and then headed down to ER. So fortunately, it was a Sunday morning, or it is a Sunday morning. And so ER is very quiet. Great tip of the day: if you're going to hurt yourself, and if you have a choice of when you're going to hurt yourself, Sunday mornings are probably the best time. So I went down there, got myself a fresh tetanus shot in one shoulder, so that arm's hurting. My fingertip essentially sewed back together. It won't be a problem. It'll just probably not look really super pretty for the next short term, but at least I'm able to keep moving on. So that's what I'm doing. Gonna keep moving on. Here we go. Got a camper to build, so let's go build this thing. I can at least do some things with my other hand while this hand takes a little bit of a break, right? I can assemble some of these things together. So I'm going back over there and start assembling some stuff, and let's keep building this camper out. Okay, the part that got me was the end connector that was stuck, I think, on this access hole here. And you can see, like, these are pretty clean. Like, that's really pretty clean, right? It's got a little bit of debris. This one doesn't. And I just noticed I was pushing this one through, the cleaner one, through the end connector that I have on this backrest of the bench that this frame is being built for, and it got stuck again. I didn't want to force it and cut another fingertip off. So I'm going to go and just clean these down with a file, and just to make sure I don't repeat that mistake again. So it's possible maybe it just wasn't really machined that well. So I'm going to go and clean those up, even though it seems like the end connector should go right through there. It binds up, and like this one, it goes well. This one, you can see it gets stuck. You see that? And I don't know why, because you look at that, it's pretty clean, but it must be just enough little debris on there. And see, all it takes is pushing this, and it slips, and your finger getting caught and jammed to something, and this edge of the metal just sharp enough to cut into your finger with enough force. So clean these up and get it going smoothly. Alright, so just going to assemble this piece together. I'm having the same issue where this is binding up in there. You see, it just binds up, and then a little bit of force too much force and it won't go in. And I'm not really sure why that is. It's doing the same thing on the other one. And it's possible it's this end connector piece, because it may be the same one that I took off from the other one, thinking that was a problem, because this piece looks clean. I've already put it through the filing. And this other piece, which literally just fell right off when I was picking this up, was actually the dirtier of the two, I should say, as far as the hole. And it slides right on nice and cleanly and smoothly. So I'm going to take this end fastener here and I think discard it. I don't see anything wrong with it. It all looks fine, but it seems to be, I'm thinking this is my problem. So I'm going to take this off, try another one, because that's what fixed it on the other one, is just simply change out the end fastener and it went on smooth, the one that cut my fingertip off. So we'll try this. Alright, so I think I found the culprit of the cause for having to put so much force on that piece that cut my fingertip off. Is I don't think it's the access hole that was gunked up from machining. I think it is actually this end fastener. I think I have just a bad one, that even though it's not apparent what it is, but I changed out the end fastener and this one just slides right on like butter. And yes, I tried both sides of this and it had the same result on both sides, where it just got stuck. So it's got to be the end fastener plate. So I guess every now and then there's a manufacturing flaw on these, so that's a bad one. So, or the one I had on there was bad. So I'm going to inspect it and see if I can figure out what it is that was bad about it. But obviously discard it. Just be a little aware of that. Some of these may be bad. It's probably my 1 out of 100 that's bad. So back to assembling. After trying different end fasteners and also different bolts and different bolt tightnesses in different pieces, it definitely was the end fastener. It had some manufacturing flaw. Well, I think I found the culprit, and that is this end connector, but I see nothing wrong with this end connector, right? It looks fine. Meanwhile, as I assemble this, there's a little bit of friction pushing this piece on, and as I guess you could say, there almost always is some. So I'm just keep my pretty little paws out of the way, you know, as I assemble this. I don't want to have any other injuries. There we go. Voila! I have a finished bench seat backrest with my hinges already embedded in there. So now we got both those ready to go. Now they can actually mount it up with the seat bases. And so I can install these as one nice big assembly. Yes. And the way that I designed my seat base and my seat back is that the way I designed it is that I have this open channel here, so that I can literally just slide it right down along the hinges on this side to interconnect the two pieces all as one assembly and installed as one assembly. So I'm not dealing with all these little screws to have to deal with for each of these hinges as I go and install this. So just something to think about as you're designing and building things, how all these different assemblies will all go together. The last one. Voila. Here we go. Now I have to slide these hinges into their final place. And I've got seat base and backrest. There we go. Ah, beautiful. Tighten that up. And voila. One nice big assembly done. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. There's some tips there, of course. On one is how to avoid getting your fingers cut just on the edge of the aluminum pieces. They are sharp on those extrusions. So certainly be careful working with it. And also be careful with everything else you're doing. And there's still a lot to come in my build out here of my DIY expedition camper. So thank you so much for watching, sharing, and certainly do ask any questions that you may have. And certainly happy to continue sharing with you and hopefully helping you with your camper builds or just enjoyment of watching others do it and hopefully not cut their fingers off.